Now onto the more researchy part of this project. The first part was a qualitative exploration of the orbits that this simulator can simulate. Clearly it works. There's no need to test much after that. Now onto the more detailed part of the investigation. Let's first consider some of the biggest planets in the solar system. Apart from the Sun, Jupiter and Saturn play a big role in dictating the gravitational attraction in the solar system. No other bodies come close at all. So I first tested with the Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn in a system. I got these precise initial conditions from NASA's JPL Horizon software, and I used this script to generate some plots. These plots show the percent error compared to JPL Horizons that my simulation data has, and the percent error is incredibly small. Even though I did say Jupiter and Saturn are the biggest contributors to gravity, it's not like the other planets in the solar system don't have any gravity. Their gravity does play a role, so I'm going to test that as well. Again, I can plot the percent error with the JPL Horizons data, and as you can see, it is again really small. But this is only for 365 days. What if I ran the simulation for even longer, like 10 years or 3,650 days? Well, the simulation does become less accurate over time, and it appears to be increasing in percent error. But for 10 years, the percent error still remains below 1%, and I think that's pretty impressive. Of course, these are just magnitudes, and the exact coordinates themselves may not necessarily show the same results. So let's test that. Well, when investigating the exact XYZ coordinates, it still seems like we retain accuracy. There's some odd spikes at specific moments, which I feel is less due to the inaccuracy of my simulation, but some condition changes with the JPL Horizons ephemeris. So now on to something less predictable than the Jupiter and Saturn planetary orbits. This is 2002 KL6. When simulating this orbit, it seems to match JPL Horizons pretty well also. Now, this is only for the magnitude, so what about the actual position vectors? Well, not as good as Jupiter and Saturn, and the spikes are much larger and longer, but oddly, they always go back down to a very small percent error. After these huge spikes, I wrote some code to figure out how many of these values actually have a below 1% error, and turns out it's quite a lot, as you can see here. This shows that in less predictable cases, the engine is still incredibly accurate, as it matches NASA within 1% most of the time. I'm still investigating what these spikes are, but I'm guessing it's something to do with how the JPL Horizons data works or something, because these spikes are so large that it doesn't even make sense for my code to be so off. I also wanted to figure out how much of a difference the time step made. Clearly, not as much in some cases, and I'm pretty sure there are bigger factors that dictate this percent error compared to the instability of my simulation. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. My simulation is very accurate. Of course, being accurate is one thing, but it would be useless if these results took like 10 minutes to generate. Thankfully, that's not the case. As long as you aren't running this program on like a Raspberry Pi or a Nintendo Switch, it should be able to produce results fairly quickly. So another thing I investigated were the compute times between Orbit Engine and another method of numerical integration called the velocity-Verlet algorithm. This algorithm is designed to be similar in computational intensity as Euler's method, but a lot more numerically stable. And numerical stability is pretty important for physics simulations, so yeah, that's why people use it. When simulating the same system with the velocity-Verlet algorithm and Orbit Engine, well, you can see the results for yourself. Orbit Engine is much faster, and it's precisely why I believe Orbit Engine is particularly useful. It's a tool that's designed for everybody, and it hopefully works seamlessly right out the box, so you don't have to go ahead and design your own simulation algorithm anytime. You don't have to fiddle around with code or be a master of Python. You just need to run the GUI, and it should all just work. And as demonstrated, it's pretty darn accurate. So if you want, you can generate an ephemeris for observations or something, or do some testing with chaotic systems, or anything you want. And this is why I think it has the potential to become something really useful. So that's what the future of Orbit Engine is going to be. I want to continue to develop this tool as I go into college, and well, I need to fix many of the problems that it has right now, like the janky animation button. But I also hope to add a lot more cooler features like GPU-based calculations, so that the calculations can be done much faster and the simulation to be much quicker. I also maybe hope to add some rendering, so you can render your orbits rather than just plotting them on a plot. But these are all for the future, and also I especially hope to turn this into a more of a plug and play experience, because right now you have to install all the dependencies and clone the repository. But I kind of want to turn it into a downloadable software where you don't have to, install any dependencies or anything, where you can just get it to work, and so that hopefully people without the technical expertise can still use this perfectly fine. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Feel free to check out the tool in the GitHub, which is going to be in the description. And thank you for watching.